everyone knows that the primary burden of welcoming refugees lies on the neighboring countries. And we also know that the readiness of these neighboring countries often depends on their ability to accommodate these people. We are praying and wishing that this example is going to be extended even to other conflict situations and refugees crises in the world.
We are here for the Ukrainians to feel comfortable, at least in the time they are here. They are our guests and are welcome. In the context of the war in the Ukraine, many people are afraid of nuclear expansion. In the annual meeting of the UN Group of Governmental Experts on the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons, the delegation of the Holy See quoted Pope Francis, who warned, "Those who possess weapons will use them, because a man cannot love when he holds offensive weapons in his hands." End quote. Ukrainian refugees in Germany, and on the subject of nuclear weapons ban. On these two topics, the opinion of the Holy See in Geneva, and a little trip to Eppstein im Taunus. Now here at EWTN TV UN Block. Greetings. It is very difficult to say exactly how Ukrainian refugees are distributed among the individual German states. Here, for example, in the idyllic small town of Eppstein im Taunus, in the region of southern Hessen, with its 14,000 inhabitants, the first refugees from Ukraine were received a few days ago. In Eppstein are currently about 200 people, very well accommodated. We are very grateful because there are many citizens who have taken in people privately, in private houses, in private apartments. This is a very great achievement, a great solidarity, I want to note here. We also have created space for 220 people in the Sparkassenakademie in our Fockenhausen district, together with the Main-Taunus district and the Sparkassenakademie. And there we have a really worthy accommodation, you could say. Also, there are no camp beds there. There are rooms to lock, there's a shower, there's also a refrigerator in the room. And that is, I think, appropriate after such a big ordeal that people have been through. According to the Federal Ministry of the Interior, about 246,000 arrivals of war refugees from Ukraine were documented between February 24th and March 24th this year. It is currently impossible to say exactly how many people who fled Ukraine reached Germany. By the way, Ukrainian citizens can enter the European Union without a visa and move freely in EU member states of the Schengen area. I now welcome the permanent representative of the Holy See to the UN in Geneva, Archbishop Nwachukwu. Good day, Excellency.
Good afternoon, Christian.
Your Excellency, before the war in Ukraine, many Europeans were very much against refugees coming from Syria or Afghanistan. Many Europeans even expressed their hostility. Now, in the case of refugees from Ukraine, the opposite seems to be the case. People are very welcoming to the refugees. In your opinion, is this current situation an opportunity to change the perception of refugees, migrants and asylum seekers in general?
Thank you, Christian. Changing the perception of various governments in general is something we all would wish for the international community, for everyone, especially for refugees who suffer most. But I don't think this automatically is going to lead to a change of perception. What we have here is a manifestation of the political will of these countries, the leaders of these countries in action. Where there is political will, the international community can do quite a lot. Here, the political will has been very strong, maybe also following the general reaction of the populations here in Europe. And with the people's reaction and the political will, the welcome, the openness has been overwhelming. Today I was reading that we have had up to 10 million refugees welcomed. Everyone knows that the primary burden of welcoming refugees lies on the neighboring countries. And we also know that the readiness of these neighboring countries often depends on their ability to accommodate these people. So what is expected is actually a good and strong political will from countries. We are praying and wishing that this example is going to be extended even to other conflict situations and refugees crises in the world, and that in such cases the same political will be shown, not necessarily in the form of opening the borders of distant countries to welcoming refugees, but at least to collaborating in a more robust manner with the neighboring countries or the nearer countries in providing them with the necessary possibilities, economic support and logistic support, so that they will be able to attend to these migration and flows of refugees. But it is the hope that this experience, the experience of solidarity, the overwhelming solidarity that is being now seen, and the political will that has been demonstrated, this experience is something that is going to be extended also to other conflict and refugee situations in the world.
The current wave of refugees from Ukraine is the result of war. The Holy See said in its statement to the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, and I quote, "The Holy See wishes to renew Pope Francis' appeal to reject war as a means of settling disputes." Your Excellency, the just war theory is a doctrine followed not only by the Catholic Church, but also by other religions, policymakers, and even military leaders. Please explain to our viewers what just war is from a Catholic perspective.
Well, let me just begin by saying that Pope Francis is very clear on this, that wars should not be presented as privileged means of solving or settling disputes. I mentioned already sometime that peace that you reach through war is only peace postponed. Durable peace or lasting settlement is reached through dialogue. The Christian doctrine, which is rooted in Judeo-Christian tradition, is very clear on this. We go back to the Bible itself in the Old Testament, the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 13. We all know it. It's the fifth commandment. He says, "Thou shalt not kill." That is the basic thing, the basic teaching we find in Christianity. And Jesus himself took it a step further when he even said, "Thou shalt not retaliate." Now, and that is if you receive a slap, you turn the next cheek. This is Matthew chapter 5, verse 38, verse 39 precisely. But Jesus does not tell you to turn the cheek of another person. He tells you to turn your own cheek. So when you see another person's right being trampled, it is an act of charity to intervene. So we often have people intervening to defend the weaker people. And from this, we often have people going to war. And there has been this theory of just war from centuries ago. In the Catholic Church, I think the theory was a bit more streamlined by St. Thomas Aquinas about the 13th century, when he gave what people now recognize as the principles of just war, which cover both justice, just action or just thinking before war, use ad bellum, and then the just actions during war, you use in bello, and then what is to be done, what is right to be done after war, use post bellum. And then getting all of them together, you have all the theory, the thing we talk about and call just war, the principles that there must be a just cause, and that it must be after all other options have been tried out, exhausted. So it must be a last resort, and it must be the right authority declaring the war, and this authority must have the right intention, not having one intention and announcing another intention, and then that this authority must be sure that it can win the war so that it does not become eternally protracted, and then that the means used during the war must correspond, must be proportionate to the end that is being sought. This is what we call just war. But let me just mention, this is something that we could say was distilled out because of human contingencies and frictions. We don't solve anything through war. The Pope Francis is very correct and is very right. And that is the Christian Catholic position: avoid war as much as possible. Try to resolve everything by dialogue, by talking to one another. Human solidarity, not war. I think we all need to go back and read this special document of the Pope, Pope Francis, Fratelli Tutti, on universal fraternity, to know that we don't need wars.
With regard to the current crisis in Ukraine, the Holy See at the UN in Geneva, citing Pope Francis, has stated, "Those who possess weapons will eventually use them." Your Excellency, is the UN's goal of a general ban of nuclear weapons still promising in light of recent developments?
Well, we do things not because you are 100% sure you are going to succeed. I think the possession of nuclear arms is a constant threat. If you possess nuclear arms, the reason might be considered to be deterrent, as a deterrent against attacks from other countries. But there is always the possibility, and you only need to have some person who might not have the necessary, the complete equilibrium, and then some disaster is going to occur to our humanity. So it remains a constant danger, and thanks to God there is ongoing discussion, conversation at the fora of the United Nations on how to ban totally, completely the nuclear arms. We don't know whether and when there is going to be a success in this, but I think it is something we all are praying for, and we continue looking towards. And if I may add this, the Holy See is actually one of the first signatories of the treaty, the prohibition of nuclear weapons, which is going to have its first meeting this year. and the Holy See has been quite active, was active in the negotiation, and has been one of the first signatories.
In his encyclical Fratelli Tutti, Pope Francis wrote that nuclear, chemical and biological weapons and new technological combat systems have given war an uncontrollable destructive power over large numbers of innocent civilians. He further wrote, "We can no longer think of war as a solution because its risks will probably always be greater than its supposed benefits. In view of this, it is very difficult today to invoke the rational criteria developed in earlier centuries to speak of the possibility of a just war." I think I can say that the people who have fled had to flee, have been driven out of their own country, out of their home, have had to let go of everything they have there, that they want to return there. That is the primary goal of the people who now had many things left behind them, and most of them have traveled without family. The husband is still in the middle of the war zone, and I can understand that people want to go back. We are here to make the Ukrainians feel comfortable, at least during the time they are here. They are our guests, they are welcome. We will see how the whole thing goes. And I notice a great solidarity here I'd like to point out again. Let us pray and hope that the Pope's act of consecration of Russia and Ukraine to Our Lady will lead to a quick end of the war, and the many displaced and refugees can return to what they call home, their homeland, Ukraine.